like Ozempic, don't just stop at the individual. They don't just stop at the point in which people can now buy their way into weight loss, as to what opening government has rightfully pointed out. The rise of medications like this fundamentally harm the healthcare industry at the point in which you inhibit the vulnerable people who need these medications for the right reasons, who can now not get these medications precisely because of incredibly greedy and malevolent people that hike up the prices of medications like Ozempic. Two main issues in this speech. One, who gets negatively affected with Ozempic? And two, on which side is the topic of fitness better engaged upon? Let's start with the first issue. How has medications like Ozempic been used? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Hint, it's bad. Opening opposition treats this motion as if the last half of the motion doesn't exist. The motion is not this House regrets Ozempic-related medication. The motion is this House regrets using Ozempic-related medication for weight loss. The simple nuance that OO missed is that not everyone who has diabetes uses Ozempic. In fact, as to what Joseph explained in his extension, it's the exact opposite. What happens outside of the bubble that OO thinks this debate operates on is that wealthy and affluent people fake prescriptions to get an edge and to get a way to lose weight easily. Problem, because opening government does not say it. Ozempic has hiked up in price by like 100,000%. Like, I don't think LO understands how basic economics works, because if more people want it, the price for it equally rises. So it is significantly harder for people like LO's grandparents to get Ozempic if they have diabetes, when people who don't have diabetes hike up the prices in order to get this miracle drug. Note that the weighing of this particular contribution from Joseph exclusively is quite important. We outweigh OO in terms of vulnerability of impact, insofar as the only people that OO benefits are likely to be rich people who can afford Ozempic, who can probably survive all of the negative effects that OG talks about. So to be clear, the harm that we point out is more important insofar as we highlight the more direct and large harm to explicitly vulnerable people who now don't have the money to get that medication. Secondly, opening government places their impact at the point in which the individual has a lot of negative risks associated with it. And note, I'm not going to say that they're wrong or their case is bad. I think it's pretty good. But what I am saying is that the likely characterization of the people who take Ozempic-related medication, specifically for weight loss, already are affluent enough, or at the very least capable enough, to live with the consequences of the harm that they have attributed. Thirdly, CO doesn't understand that they don't have the fiat to regulate the world that exists right now. It's a regrets motion, not a policy. But even then, right, because that might be a dismissive response, I don't understand what the response to us actually is. It's a direct consequence in the way people interact with Ozempic that lead to people talking and taking a lot more risk that can potentially harm their life. One, their attempts to parallelize the taking Ozempic with things like drinking or smoking is just false and uncomparative, at least to us, because the consumption of Ozempic necessitates that people who need it don't have it. So that's the harm that we're trying to point out. OO needs to be a lot more responsive to that particular extension that came from Joseph, not in this vague generality that, oh, Ozempic is just good because, it's a medicine and you have every single right to take it. The harm is explicitly in that people who need it cannot afford it. Two, you don't need to create an equally or an entirely different health-related issue to point out another equally true health-related issue. As to what Joseph's POI mentioned, I don't need to become addicted on Ozempic to treat obesity as a problem that is serious. That is to say, the benefit that exists on closing opposition is not necessarily needed or is not directly tied to the rise of a